Expats Portugal every Thursday at 9 o'clock for an hour. Just getting ready to go out onto YouTube now. And then I'll come back to you with my news bites, I'm calling them. Nuggets of news from Expats Portugal that I've seen during the week. There we go. Okay, let's mute that over on YouTube and come back and get my presentation onto the screen. Marcos, you offered technical support to me. Let me just see if I can do this. I might be calling on you tonight, Marcos, as I share my screen. There we go. Oh, that's going quite well so far. Shouldn't say things like that though, should you? If I can present that as well, that would be awesome. Can you tell me then if you're seeing Euro Weekly News as a shared screen at the moment, everybody? Can I get a thumbs up? Oh, I'm getting nods. That's nice to see. Right. Okay. First bit of news. This is actually old news, but given that we weren't on air at this time of the year, just as we turned into 2025, from Euro Weekly News. We have the update here that 7 tolls have been terminated in Portugal, which of course is good news for people who've been lobbying for this, especially the A22 and the Algarve, which has been controversial, I think, for a few years. Just to let you know then that the tolls that have been terminated, and let's hope there's more to follow as well, and the Dream Team might like to pick up on this. It's long overdue, perhaps. The A4, Transmontana. I just love saying that. Transmontana and Túnel do Marão. A13, the A13-1, the Pinhal Interior, the Algarve, the A22, probably the most controversial and important of all of them. And I think these have been made free, or the toll fees have been lifted where there is no other alternative according to the EU pressure. Possibly there may be another explanation for that. A23 Beira Interior, A24 Interior Norte, and A25 Beras Litoral and Alta, and finally of the 7 A28. It's a bit like Peter's hotspots. I don't know if any of these roads actually run through your hotspots that you were talking about earlier on. Maybe Silvish. Does the A22 go all the way to Silvish? A28 Minho in sections between Esposende and Antas, and between Neva and Dark there. So no longer do you have to pay on these roads. The A13, for example, some people are traveling into Coimbra free of charge now as well. So good news all round. In case you missed that, that's the update there. 7 tolls have been finished off, terminated, and you won't have to pay on those anymore. And you won't have to take the long way around on the road with all the potholes with the truckers. You can use the toll road now. Right, okay, next story. This is lovely. These are the Carretos on the back of the bike there. I don't think has been arrested. But is in a picture here taken as part of a police public security. The PSP have posted this for the Europol photography competition of 2024, which has been won, or certainly a high-ranking photograph in the competition from Chief Sara Teixeira, who currently works at the PSP in the command district of Bragança, who took this wonderful picture of the Carretos on the back there, a really important part of Portugal's culture. I understand the Carretos, if they have an interest in a partner, they have a wooden stick and they tap them on the bottom, which I think is part of the whole mating and cultural ritual. I am very happy to be put right on that by the Dream Team. Unlike the stick that the policeman is carrying, which would probably not be used in that way. Very different uses of wooden sticks across Portugal this evening in that photograph that you can see there. But congratulations to the chief in Bragança there. I think that's a fantastic photograph, beautifully captured there. We've got some news and a bit of an offer, actually, as well as some late news that I want to share with you finally in just a moment. But this came to me only this afternoon, and I had a lovely lunch with Astrid and Jerry at the Storytellers Palace here on the Silver Coast in San Martino de Porto. Gilda has also been there as well. It's a fabulous place, and they've just introduced this overnight stay, breakfast included. It's a deal, and if you mention that you're connected to Expats Portugal, you'll get an extra bonus as well. And very kindly, this is Gilda's sister's place on the right-hand side here. Look at that breakfast. I want to stay here in the Alentejo, and Expats Portugal members, friends can get a 5% discount, right, Gilda? Just by mentioning that you're connected to Expats Portugal or Good Morning Portugal. Is that right, Gilda?
It's correct.
And the breakfast is like that every morning, is it? And you can look at that Alentejo sky, though. I love that, certainly in
Yes.
the right-hand
Yeah,
corner
it
there.
has a beautiful sky, and it has many things to do in the surrounding areas.
Wonderful. And
like
thank you.
wine tasting.
For example.
For example, I don't know why this came to my mind.
No, I don't. Um, and you very kindly negotiated, organised with your sister and brother-in-law a 5% discount for Expats Portugal members. So that's really kind of you. And more details, I'm sure, to follow in the forum, and we'll get that connection to you. And this just came in today. Look who's back after 11 years away from Portugal. I think they played at. Oh, I can't remember the name of the gig, but they were here in 2014. I don't know a lot about this, but you do know who they are. Combined age of about 500 there on the screen. The Rolling Stones, they are, of course, the English Jutoshi Pontapesh of they're the English equivalent of Jutoshi Pontapesh, the Portuguese rock band, and they are coming to Lisbon soon, probably to play at the Benfica Stadium, which will mean that some sporting fans who love the Rolling Stones will be in a really awkward position for that. Anyway, those are my news snippets. Dream Team, anything to say about those? Let's go to you first, Gilda. How are you this evening? And what's going on in my...
Fine, thank you.
What's going on with you?
Everything is fine. Well, of course, that I have to say that this week we got more requests from American citizens. I wonder why.
Rhetorical. Please don't. No one needs to answer that, right? Okay.
No, it's, I don't know. Maybe something happened over there.
Stop it, Gilda. Yeah.
No, but really, many American citizens are looking forward to move to Portugal.
Absolutely right. Yes. Okay. And you're here to help, of course. Any questions about moving to Portugal, the various visas, of course, the D visas that we did a webinar about, or you did a webinar about. I was just lucky to be there. Is now up on
No,
the channel.
you already did parts. You already know
I
almost
did chip
everything.
in a
So
bit, didn't I? With some, yeah.
yes.
Okay, thank you. Honorary A staff member there. And Debbie, look, I'm getting flooded with info requests from American friends this week. I tell them to check out Expats Portugal. Thanks, Debbie, for that. Anything else to add, Gilda, from the world of migration, from your point of view and your team?
No, I
Okay.
I don't think anything else new.
Okay, fair enough. Here from Winsurance tonight, in Nunu's absence, Sandra and Pedro are here with us. Sandra, good evening to you. It's lovely to see you here.
So I have been problems with my camera. Now it's over.
We're seeing you great. You look fantastic.
Okay.
Thank you for being here tonight.
Last week I didn't see anyone.
Yes,
Well,
I remember. Yeah.
I passed the word to Pedro. He's new with this.
Well, it's good to meet you as well, Pedro.
Hello, everybody.
How's it going for you at Winsurance, Pedro?
It's been amazing. I've met a good team, an amazing team, and I'm very happy to be collaborating with Nuno and the Winsurance team.
Wonderful. Thank you for being here. So team
And,
effort.
having the opportunity to be here with you as well. So I'm very happy.
Oh,
It's been a good change for me.
thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Welcome to the dream team, Pedro.
Thank you so much.
There you go. Wonderful. Official welcome to
Hello.
the Queen of the Visas there. So Sandra.
Anyone there?
Oh,
My
hello.
Ligia?
Oh, Ligia, I do beg your pardon, and you're quite right to shout out at me there. Ligia, how are you? Good evening to you.
I'm fine, thanks. And all of you, are you okay?
We're doing great. All the better for seeing you. What do you do over at Winsurance?
Well, I work with Pedro. We are in the same team, and I'm a new revive to insurance, and it has been a pleasure.
Wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Amazing job, amazing team, everything great.
Wonderful, wonderful, and all going well in the boss's absence at the moment. And
Of course.
yeah, of course. Before I get into any more trouble, Ruth is here as well. I don't know if you want to say hello, Ruth, but 4 people from Winsurance. So I think any insurance questions tonight should be ably answered and covered. There is a little bit of news, isn't there, Sandra, from the European Council. A council adopts new regulation improving cross-border access to EU health data. Is that a good thing for us here in Portugal?
I'm sorry, I'm speaking in behalf of Nuno and Sandra
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
about these recent news that were produced by the European Commission. Because since May 2022, already the European Commission presented a proposal that aimed to improve the use of health data across all the member states. So since then they have been negotiating, of course, and last Wednesday finally there was some news, and the Council of the European Union adopted a new law, the EHDS, that means European Health Data Space, and it's a wonderful thing for the European citizens because it helps to exchange and access health data across all member states. So it's something new because across all European member states there were some changes in the countries regarding the access to health data, and since last Wednesday. Things are about to change. Of course, this needs to be approved by the parliaments of each country, but we think that soon it will be easier for every citizen across Europe to access the data and to be able to go to another country and to be able to access the data if they are in some kind of situation that requires that access. Because
That's it.
before it was very hard to access the health data.
Okay, so a great move from that point of health and safety. If you find yourself in an emergency, is it confined to emergencies, Pedro, or does this mean that EU
No, no, no,
members will have... Okay,
no. It goes across research, innovation.
right.
There are a lot of fields that are being opened to cross the information between the member states.
Okay, okay.
In terms of innovation and studies, it's going to be very, very good because now the people that are doing the investigation, they can cross data and they can evolve much more quickly.
Wonderful.
Yes, it's
However,
good news for everybody.
yeah, and I see it from that sort of overall perspective. This doesn't mean yet, though, does it, that you can just go to a hospital in another part of the EU?
No, no, not
Right,
yet,
not
not
yet.
yet.
Okay, all right.
It's usually this takes some time because
Yeah,
each member state has to adopt this new policy.
yep.
So it might take perhaps a few months so we can have this going on. But it's good news, good news. It will be easier for everybody to access the data and to have better investigation from now on.
That's a great update. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. If you've got any more questions about insurance and health here in Portugal, it's great to have the insurance team with us who will be able to help you with that. So that the whole
Thank
team,
you.
Sandra,
Yeah.
Pedro, Ligia, and Ruth are here tonight from Winsurance. What a great showing from the best insurance team in Portugal, basically, from the expat
Thank
and
you.
foreigner point of
Thank
view.
you very much.
Not at all. Not at all. Thanks for being here tonight. Right, Daniel, the world of law. How's that looking this week? All quiet?
Hello, hello. Well, nice to be here. I think that there's an interesting news report that I've seen today connected with law and real estate. The Portuguese government has basically a program for people to replace old windows and to have their properties a bit more sustainable. But unfortunately, that program has, well, it was stopped and all the applications are still being assessed. And I think that they ran out of money the last year. So the Portuguese government just announced today 60 million euros to put into that program to support people in paying a portion out of the investment that they do in installing new windows and having the property a bit more or well insulated comparing to the Portuguese reality. So I think that this is good news connected with the world of real estate in law. And let's hope that the program does start working again. And if you if you do own property in Portugal and it was built a few years back, you know how poorly insulated some properties can be, and replacing the windows or installing new AC units and stuff like that may be something that the property needs. And if the program starts working again, I think it's really good news for property owners in Portugal. And as long as you have a property in the country and you're a tax resident and have a residency permit, you will be eligible to apply for these types of benefits. So something that came up today, and I do find it interesting. I do hope that this program is starts working again, basically.
Very interesting. And what might the benefits look like? What level of funding and contribution might people expect?
I've looked into that in the past. I think that the payments are around 10 to 15%, depending on the type of things that you do install in the house.
Yes.
So they pay a portion out of the money spent. And you need to, of course, deliver the invoices and to prove that the money was paid. And they have a cap. There's a limitation on the amount of money that the government will repay you. But it's something that, well, you need to run through the hoops. You need to deliver the application. But it's a good motivation, and it's the government aligning the interests of becoming a sustainable country and being more energy efficient, and people doing some renovation in the property that exists already in the country. So it seems like a really interesting program, and I was saddened at the time that the program did it basically rendered to a stop. You could still submit your applications, but they were not paying any of the money that is supposed to be paid because, well, I think that they ran out of money.
And thank you, Daniel. It is very interesting. And the legal obligation is the legal obligation that the government must contribute, or is there a legal obligation that the house owner must make these sorts of improvements?
So no one is obliged to do this.
Right.
If you want to leave your property with old windows, well, you can do it, of course. But if you do it, if you have the invoices and if you submit the application, the government is supposed to pay back some of the investment that you did. So there's no legal obligation to do this. But still, it's an interesting program to move people in the right direction in terms of sustainability and having energy efficient houses that, properties that are built before the 2000s in Portugal, they're not that energy efficient.
Right. A very good move, which I'm sure will come as good news to people who are a little bit cold at this time of year, and they might not have such a cold winter next year. Excellent stuff. Staying with the law for a moment, I had a notification. I'm a renter. Here in Portugal, and I had a notification from my landlord alerting me to the fact that my rent was going up in line with inflation, which seems entirely reasonable. I think 2.16%. I think that was the raise, and I think it's the way it works legally is he notifies me, and then I make that next payment in due course, and that's an annual thing. Something I was surprised to hear about, and I don't know if you've heard about this yourself as well. It seems that water bills have gone up in quite an extreme way beyond inflation. Is there any protection for consumers of water in this instance? How did that happen?
Unfortunately, no. Because water in Portugal is somewhat of a broken system. In some municipalities, you have a fully public system, and usually when you have a fully public system, the prices are under control.
Yes.
When they get the system privatized, then in some instances the system goes haywire and prices do skyrocket. So I don't believe in privatizing public utility, especially when there's no competition. A sector like providing water, there's no real competition, so I don't see the point in privatizing a company because, well, it shouldn't be for profit. It should be for providing a service, in this case is water.
Right.
Electricity is totally different. You have several providers, there's competition. It's good that it was privatized, but I don't see a private company installing new piping for a full municipality to compete with the company that is already in place. So, and I'm not seeing any suppliers of water being able to compete within different municipalities and so on. So privatizing the water, I'm all for the private sector, but in some key aspects, I'm not too keen on that. So, and this is a problem that is connected with privatizing the water delivery system, and prices do skyrocket because there's no actual real control in terms of there's no law to protect that, unfortunately.
So consumer protection is a little bit wanting then when it comes to certain municipalities that may have privatized their water provider and so you might see a big spike basically in water delivery and sewage costs. Very interesting. That's good to know. Because I did hear of this, somebody being quite shocked about it, and that was a great explanation.
Just as a comparison, the property that I live, there's 4 or 5 people living in the property, and 67 euros for water bill per month. So just for people that are listening to this outside of Portugal, the water bill is not a killer. Although if you were paying 20 or 30 euros and it spikes to 40 or 60, then yes, of course, it doubled the amount, but it's still not prohibitive as other countries that I've seen that do have water bills that are humongous. In Portugal, so that's not that bad, at least in my municipality.
Yes. Well, I may have time to tell the story of how my water was cut off last week, but through a misunderstanding, which is a fascinating anecdote. But I want to get around to people's questions, and we're a bit light on questions. So if you've got anything about insurance, migration, the law, please put those questions into the chat. You premium members, you get the priority here to ask your questions, and let's do that. And I might come back to water later on. Laronda saying, "OMG. Water in my area, the cost of water is outrageous. One of the reasons one of the reasons I'm so over home ownership, living in a drought-prone state, doesn't help either." Sorry to hear that, Laronda. Debbie's got questions. That's great. Although Pedro Franco, I'm not sure if you are here tonight to answer that. But let's go to Peter, whose ears may have pricked up hearing about the sustainable environmental improvements on homes. Thank you, Daniel, for the time being. What did you make of that, Peter? And thanks for a great job. Your 5 hotspots. If they weren't there, they'll have to watch the video on Sunday, right?
Yeah, sure. I'm looking forward to looking back. Good news. I think the more investment from the government in sustainability, I think the better. And again, with advantages of having a couple of the toll roads freed up. So that's all good news.
Good news. What's so great? It was what we started to talk about in the private session, which premium members can be part of on a Thursday night, was this 100% tax on property purchases by foreigners. I think I might make that the question at the end of this evening, whether it's likely to happen here in Portugal. You gave us your view on that. Is there anything else you want to talk about more generally when it comes to real estate, property, moving to Portugal? Peter, in anticipation of any questions coming through?
Yeah, it's what we also discussed a bit earlier tonight in the webinar. I think it's fair to say that the price level is, and it's not only of the utilities that we were talking about, but also price level of real estate in general in Portugal. It really increased over the last couple of years, especially in the cities, but also now we are seeing this increase in the more in the interior, in the regions like the Alentejo, like the central of Portugal. But still, in my opinion, it's still a very reasonable and good affordable buy here in Portugal. And then to your point, or maybe we should discuss that a little bit later on, this this proposal for the increase of tax for foreign or non-European buyers. I think what I see through, I mean, I don't know, 20 or so years being here around in Portugal, that the government is still favorable of foreign investments, although there is a kind of tendency, maybe not the government, the central government, but there are some groups, of course, in the societies here in Portugal that are not in favor of that. So that's something we, of course, are all really following. And yeah, we have to look into that. But still, compared to other neighboring countries, I think it's still the place to be. And yeah, if you then also compare not only real estate prices, but also the cost of living, what have you, then it's still very interesting to do your investment here in Portugal.
Absolutely, including water. And thank you for that illustration, Daniel, for that.
Wine as well. Water and wine is,
Well,
I think,
yeah,
very affordable here.
it's actually probably cheaper to drink wine than water, isn't it?
In a bit, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, and I don't know if we should be spreading that sort of. Well, it's not even a rumor; it's the truth in some places. But anyway, yeah, if you compare liter values, sometimes, yes, quite extraordinary. Thanks, Peter, for being here for the second time this evening. Much appreciated. You're spoiling us with your company tonight, so thank you very much indeed. I think that's the dream team introduced tonight. I know we have a Steve and a Neil on the call tonight, but I don't think they are the Steve and the Neil from Spartan FX. If you are, please make yourself known to the pilot immediately, or the cabin crew. And we go to Debbie, who was shocked that her rent was not raised on my recent renewal, because of course, whilst it's possible to raise rent in line with inflation, it's not obligatory for the landlord to do so, is it, Daniel? It's already a bit below the market, and I have the nicest landlord, so it won't automatically happen, will it?
No, basically the way that the landlord is able to increase the rent is he should send notice, usually on a written form via registered mail, into the property that is being rented. And there's a publication that the government does every year with the maximum increase in the rent that you can set. And it's usually fairly in line with inflation, apart from 2023, where the inflation did skyrocket, but the government, to try to tone things down and to tone the rental prices, they've set the increase amount way lower than inflation. But I would say, as a general rule of thumb, it increases in line with inflation, or the increase is done in line with the inflation, and this is a publication from the government.
Yep.
But let's say that the landlord did not increase the rent in the last 3 years. Well, he can do so and use what we call the coefficient or the numbers to increase the rent. So he can do that update, but he can only go back a maximum 3 years. And with that, he can send the letter. But when I state going back, it's not charging the rents that are in the past. It's just setting the increases for the future, using the rates for the last 3 years. So let's say that we are now in 2025. We could use the coefficient of 2025, 2024, and 2023 to increase the rent.
Yes.
If the landlord does nothing, well, the rent simply doesn't increase, and you carry on paying as you did in the past years. If you do receive the letter, then you should pay the amount, or you can verify this online, what is the applied number that is registered for the said year, and just check that out to see if the landlord is doing things as it should. And if he does, you only need to pay the rent on next month according to the amount that was inserted in the letter. And the new rental receipt should have the increase in the rent, so all things should line down. The increase in the receipts need to have the same value.
Very good. Thank you, Daniel, for that, and thank you for your comment on that as well, Debbie. Brilliant. I don't know if this is one you want to have a go at, Debbie. We don't have Pedro Franco with us this evening. I have 2 questions, says Debbie. One, do I file my USA taxes first or my Portuguese taxes first? That is an it depends question, is it not, Daniel? Depending on someone's personal circumstances.
I've seen Pedro addressing this question before, And from other clients that I've seen in similar situations, although we don't do tax deliveries, but what he said at the time is, yes, you first deliver the US tax returns, and then you use those numbers to deliver the tax returns in Portugal.
Yes, yeah, and I have heard
Yes,
exceptions
but
to that.
just to add something,
Thank you, Julia.
This is the rule, but you have some kind of exceptions depending on the type of income.
Yes, yeah. Okay, so it is
So
worth checking out on an individual basis to make sure your personal circumstances are reflected. Oh, we're having a bit of trouble with your Zoom connection there, Gilda, from my point of view. Come back to us in a moment, should that get stronger. Oh, you are back. There you go. Gilda, sorry, do carry on.
no, I finished already.
Oh, okay. Right, superb. That's always disconcerting when someone's finished and then they freeze. Right, okay. That's wonderful. Thanks, Debbie. I hope that helps. I mean, maybe make a call to Pedro there. And Steve, yeah, good question, Debbie. A bit more complicated here in Australia as the tax year is July, June. Again, yeah, speak to Pedro about your personal circumstances. And we have a tax special next Thursday, I beg your pardon, at 7:30 as well. First visa question then, Gilda. If you're not frozen, my question, I have my D7 meeting. This is from Clint. Thank you, Clint, for this. I have my D7 meeting in San Francisco on February the 11th. How are USA citizens tracking on the days to get approval of their visas? I have been seeing about 60 business days. Is this what EI and others are seeing, would you say?
Yes, so in practice, 2 months and a half to between 2 months and a half to 3 months.
Wonderful. Okay, nice and straightforward there for you, Clint. Anything else you'd like to know? Do pop it in the chat here. Premium members, get those questions in on the Zoom chat, if you will. The no is here, Gilda. Hi, Carl and Gilda. I finally got my D2 visa in India after 13 and a half months. Landed in Porto this week. Excellent. Well done. Will it still be possible for me to apply for the NHR? Do you think, Gilda, that people will still be trying to apply for the NHR in 10 years' time, having shown an interest back in the day? But specifically for the now, will it be possible for me to apply for the NHR? I didn't change the address on the NIF in 2024 since I didn't have an approved visa and hadn't moved to Portugal. VFS appointment date, November 23rd. Visa approval date, January the 25th. January of 2025. So it's when you first showed interest, isn't it? That's the key date. Is that right for the now?
Yes, it would be, but it was only for 1 year. So the last ones from the transitory regime were to be delivered until the 31st December last year, 2024.
Okay.
I think that my idea is if you are going to lose a lot of money because you couldn't apply for the NHR because they took so long, is to sue the Portuguese government.
Right. So there's another queue for that now, is there? As well as the other lawsuit. Or what about collective action? I want to ask you, Daniel. Thank you, Gilda, for your answer on that and that suggestion of suing the government. The drawback with that has been that there are now so many people suing the government that it's kind of less effective than it used to be. But that single, I was going to call them sewages. That's quite different, isn't it? They are singular cases, aren't they? Legal cases. Are there any class actions or collective efforts that have been thought of in this regard?
Well, there is, but not in the form that I think that they do exist in the US.
Okay. Right.
So there's several people that can bundle in the same legal action and can file a lawsuit and divide the expenses and so on if their claim is equal, similar, or if they have an interest that should be protected within the same lawsuit. But having, let's say, 10,000, 15,000 people suing SEF at the same time would be I would say almost impossible to coordinate all of that. That's why it's not that popular. In the US, what I saw before in terms of class actions is that one person or an association that represents the interest of a certain neighborhood or class, let's call it that, they can represent the full class, and then the decision will affect everyone, and the payment should be done to everyone. In this
Right.
case, a class action should provide bookings for everyone within AIMA. This is not the case in Portugal. You will not be able to have a general decision that would allow everyone that is lacking the booking obtaining the booking with a class action. That's not how the Portuguese system does work.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Interesting. That's about precedence, I suppose, isn't it?
A bit, but it's just the way that the class action is structured in the US, it's not the same as it is in Portugal. So if you do have, if you have 10 friends and your 10 friends want the same thing, the 10 of them can go to court just with one legal action. They can bundle together and just deliver one legal action. But for this situation with AIMA, I don't see a class action being an instrument that is valid in any way or shape, because well, this is not how our law is structured in terms of having a class action.
Right. Thanks, Daniel. But going back to the NANU, if not the NANU wants to sue on that individual basis, that would be an option to take up. Have many people done that so far on the lateness of NHR applications?
Well,
No,
some people.
we just started this new phase now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We invented it tonight on this.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Remember this. Tell this to
Didn't
your
we, Daniel?
grandchildren.
It's like we
Yes.
had this idea tonight. Thank you, Nanu.
Okay, there you go. So when your grandchildren ask where you were the night that particular lawsuit came into being in Portugal, you were on the town hall dream team
Yeah.
session
On the cutting edge.
on the 23rd of January 2025. Amazing. Thank you, Gilda, for that. And congratulations in all seriousness, the NANU. And more importantly, how are we celebrating? I think you asked as well, didn't you, Gilda? The NANU, let's celebrate when everyone is available at the next Expats Portugal meetup. See you in Batalha then on the 8th of February, the NANU. That's when we're next meeting up and getting together. Thanks, Steve, for your message. And José Cruz, to you, Gilda, I think I read an article, Portugal News this week, that IMA has 15% of their 6,000 daily appointments not carried out due to lack of applicants. Is this true? Why is it still taking so long to get an appointment? So there's a kind of applicant fatigue on one side of this as well, Gilda, like a user error. Is that what's going on?
No, what is happening is that first, two things are happening. One is that because it took so long for them to get an appointment, many people are not in Portugal anymore.
Right, yeah. That will be a problem.
Yes, and also because they waited for so long, maybe they changed the address, email, or the contacts are not the same as they used to have, so they were not duly notified.
Right. Okay. So it's still a bit of a mess. I suppose the main question from José there is why is it still taking so long?
It's still a bit of a mess, but they are cleaning it up.
Right. Okay. So they are, yeah. And it's always great to hear from you in the first part of the session. Things are going well. It's all good.
Can I tell you a story?
Yes, of course you can. That's why we're here.
Daniel, I don't know if you heard about this, but I was in a conference, and this was so funny. I was in a conference, and it was me, and then besides me, it was the president of IMA, which is someone that I really wanted to punch, okay? But
You
I
didn't
control
know,
myself.
did you? I mean, Daniel would have heard about this because you'd have needed a lawyer, right? So you didn't punch him. Right.
And then we had someone from the United Nations, and we had the CEO from Grupo Pestana to talk about migration, okay? So this was the panel of the persons that were invited to talk about migration. And
Gilda, hold on 1 minute. Can I just say wow before you go any further?
Thank you. And then in front of us, we had the Minister of Presidents, which is the person responsible for migration, and he was going to close the conference. Everyone was so negative about everything, and the president of IMA, I'm so sorry if you one day look at this, but he was feeling so tired and with no energy. And I was like encouraging him, come on, you can do it. Things are going to be better, blah, blah, blah. And then everyone was talking bad about the country and how things were going with migrations. And then I said, I was the final speaker. And then I had the microphone and I said, come on, we are here. The minister are here. Everyone is young because the minister is my age and the Secretary of State is even younger. And the director is my age. He was with me in college, the director of the Ministry of Presidency.
Wow.
And I said, everyone is young. Everyone is here. So let's be optimistic about this. Let's put some power on this and let's sort this out and stop crying and like go to war.
Yes.
And then you know what happened?
No.
I stopped talking. I stood up because the minister was going to talk. I stood up. The chair felt back, the chair. And then I was, oh my God, it felt. And then when I went to pick up the chair, I, with my legs, I threw the table with a bottle of water and the glasses of water, and they were of course they were glass and not plastic. So can you imagine? I did chaos on the stage.
Fantastic.
And I was, oh my God. And then the president of the IMA came to me and said, see, that's your optimism. That's you being optimistic.
Well, thank you for trying those, Gilda. Who
I tried, but then, everyone was against me. Even all the energy in the room and everything was falling apart.
Well, when the movie's made, it won't be like that. It'll be like Dead Poets Society when the movie's made, and you'll be standing on a table that you nearly knocked over in real life, and the crowd will be going mad in front of you there. Thank you for sharing that. Excellent. Look at this. That's our Gilda, everybody, hobnobbing at that level in Portuguese government. It's fantastic. Good to know that we've got friends in high places. Thanks, Gilda. Absolutely wonderful. Constance, how do you check?
Yeah, but messy friends.
Yeah,
messy friends. Who does that? Who does that?
When you keep saying, why wasn't I invited? That's probably part of it. I don't know. People will maybe have to go out and buy some plastic IKEA cups when you come around. Right. How do you check on what the landlord has filed on your apartment? Constance, I think this is coming back to you, Daniel, isn't it? Filing the rises, inflationary rises, possibly, Constance. Do we need more information on that, Daniel, or do you understand that question?
Well, this is a law that is publicized by the government. So with a Google search, you can find what is the coefficient for the last 10 years.
Right.
And basically, they do it easy. It's just a number that you need to multiply with the rent that you already have, and it should give you the final number that you need to pay to the landlord.
Right.
So it's easily verifiable. You just can go online, see if the calculations are well done, and if they are, well, that's all right. If it's above the threshold, then you can refuse to pay that rent increase. And it's easy to verify. But if someone has any questions regarding their rent increase, feel free to reach out, and I'll do the calculations for the person. But it's easily verifiable online, and it's not rocket science or something hidden by the Portuguese government. It's publicized anywhere and everywhere, like sites like Idealista. They'll have the information readily available.
It's something Portugal can be proud of, I think, is the transparency and the fairness of that system. It's never great when your rent goes up, but if it only goes up in line with inflation, that seems reasonable as a win-win between the tenant and the landlord.
Correct. In the last government tried to implement some measures to avoid people breaking the contract and then trying to set up a new contract, and eventually breaking the contract and getting new tenants just to get the rents under control. So it was a form of not rent control, I would say, but to try to have the rental market toning a bit down, because it was getting a bit crazy. But we still see situations like that. people consult us and they say, well, the landlord wants to do this. Is this possible? Is this not possible? So tenancy disputes are quite common. And as we are speaking about tenancy disputes, probably the most disputes that we see in court connected with rentals are the landlord not handing over the deposit back and
Yes.
trying to find some reasons regarding to not deliver the deposit. So if you are renting property in Portugal, my advice is that before you hand over the property, take pictures of everything, film the full property, and then do arrange a date, a specific date and time, so the landlord can inspect the property. This is usually on the last day. Have a piece of paper, and if something is out of what it should, that should be written down in that piece of paper, what needs to be corrected, if something needs to be replaced, and then the landlord should provide a decent budget to replace that. Otherwise, what we're seeing in the market is that people trust in the handshake deals. They say, oh, here's the keys, everything is fine. The landlord says yes, and I'll hand over the deposit back to you. But then the landlord says, "Oh, I looked into the property with a bit more detail, and I've seen this and that, so I'm not handing over the deposit." And if we are talking about a rent of 4 or 5K, two deposits, this is 10K. This is quite substantial. So in that regard, do the proper thing, and this is have a walkthrough with the landlord or a representative of the landlord, have everything documented and written, and pictures and videos taken, because once the property is delivered, there's no going back in terms of you going to the property and filming everything down.
That's great advice for the tenant, and another idea possibly tonight for Casa Portuguesa, who probably would do that service of a walkthrough of a property in the handover between tenant and landlord, possibly there. Thank you very much for that great question, Constance. Great story, Gilda, says Carol, and Jose, with wisdom as usual. Before you create, you must destruct. Good for you, Gilda. Right, serious question from Mike earlier on. We applied for our golden visa. I think we might be staying with you, Daniel, but this was in 2023. My wife was born in China, but left in 94 and became a Canadian citizen and did not return to China. To this point, we have uploaded our Canadian criminal records to the IMA site, but never obtained my wife's Chinese criminal record to upload. Realistically, the records in China prior to 94 were not reliable. Given this, and given that it is so far in the past, do you think IMA will still require this? If they do, should we get the criminal record translated to Portuguese in China prior to obtaining the apostille in China on this criminal record report? This is an amazing question, and it's an it depends, which I think you're going to elaborate on now for us.
It's really an amazing question, because if it was around 3 weeks ago, I would say, well, you'll need the 2 criminal records.
Yeah,
because this has happened to us with golden visas. People have one passport and then they're national of another country, and they say, we had an Australian client, I think, that well, he left Australia when he was about 6 months old, and I said, the client said, what type of crimes could I commit, me being 6 months old? And I said, well, you need to get it. Yes, but this is quite difficult to prove, that you were born in a country, that you left at 6 months old and you never returned.
Yes.
So if it was around a month ago, my answer would be AIMA will eventually notify you to deliver the criminal record from China. But I did mention this in the last Dream Team that we had. There was a meeting for lawyers pertaining the golden visa around 2 or 3 weeks back. And I was not able to attend, but my business partner did attend to the meeting. And this was one of the questions done by one of the colleagues, and the people in AIMA said that you only need to deliver one of the criminal records, either the criminal record from the country that you have a passport, or either the criminal record from the country that you are a national from. But we haven't experienced yet this change in policy from AIMA. So it's my advice on this specific case is, carry on as you have done. Don't obtain the Chinese criminal record yet. But if AIMA does notify you to obtain the document, my advice is to get it and provide it to them. No point in fighting that notification stating, oh, but there was this meeting of the lawyers and so on and so forth, because then your process will just be stalled, and golden visas processes were stalled for so long that well, having this 6 months fighting this type of decision, I don't think it's fruitful. So if the notification comes, my advice is to obtain the criminal record, to apostille it. China is a recent one of the countries that recently adhered to the apostille convention, and then the translation should be done in Portugal. Because if the translation is done in China or anywhere else in the world, it's considered a foreign document. Then you need to apostille that foreign document, that translation, in China. So it's 2 apostilles, and that there's no need for that. There's Chinese translators in Portugal that you can hire, and they will do the notarization of the translation here, and thus you would avoid the apostille in the second document, and this is the translation. So just to recap, if they notify the applicants to deliver the criminal record from China, my advice is to obtain it. The second advice is to apostille it in China. The third advice is the translation should be done in Portugal.
Very good, Daniel. Thank you. Hope that helps, Mike. Let us know if there's anything else you need to know. That's a very comprehensive and excellent answer as ever from Daniel. Clint, do we have a European car expert on the Dream Team? We absolutely do. And Astrid, you might be able to help with this, with a link. I need to start looking to buy a car for when I arrive from the USA. We can definitely help with that. I'd like to get some opinions on brands, especially for those unfamiliar to me in the USA, like Citroën, Peugeot, Seat, and Skoda. I won't continue with my impersonations of European car marks. But Gilda, not Gilda, Astrid, if you could help with the business directory connection there. And it's a good question to ask in the forum as well, Clint. Ask people's personal experience of those cars. Sometimes people are unlucky with the French cars, it has to be said, here in Portugal. And the after-sales service may not be brilliant. But, find out from people on the forum. Astrid.
Sorry, I'm busy trying to find Rosie cars.
I thought you were talking to me there. Rosie car, yes, absolutely. We'll get you that link there.
Yes.
A great question, and
it's
yes,
going in the chat now, and it's
wonderful.
important to know that the service is free. So they make their commissions from the seller. So if you do need help with assistance with buying a car here in Portugal, then they're definitely someone to engage with, no cost to you.
Wonderful. I'm just trying
I'm putting it in the chat now.
You're brilliant. Thanks, Astrid. And I'm trying to find the shocked or embarrassed emoji. Rita, I'm so sorry. Rita Fonso. I'm also here if anyone's got any questions about moving pets or pet care in Portugal. Rita, please come on. I'm so sorry I overlooked you earlier on. How are you doing this evening?
No worries. I'm good. And you?
Oh, I'm sorry. Disculpe. So please, would you like to introduce yourself and let people know what you can do?
Yes. I am a veterinarian here in Portugal, and I am specialized in international pet transportation. So I have done some webinars with you guys on the cats and dogs transportation previously.
Yep.
And now we have some big news this year. We are now also transporting other animals besides dogs and cats.
You are?
Yeah.
Okay, what like?
Like birds, like turtles, some exotic pets that also needed to come with their owners to Portugal and to any country to live in. So we help them.
Thank you for being here. Sorry I didn't catch you earlier on. And I remember talking about this. You had to make sure it was absolutely right for people, didn't you? And make sure the processes were there before you could announce it. So congratulations on launching that. That's wonderful news. And find GIR and Global Pets in the business directory as well. Another big question from Derek, and I'll come to our cultural question in a moment. Probably get a quick answer on whether you think the 100% tax is likely to happen in Portugal. And a bit of a shocker, I have to say. I want to share something with you that I found quite offensive, that I want to ask the Dream Team panel about the town hall here, because I want your particular Portuguese insight on it. Derek, I wish to avoid duties and taxes for importing my household goods, tools, 2 cars, large timber frame, etc. A considerable list there. I have a rental contract to be signed for a property in central Portugal 1st of February. Do I approach the Portuguese consulate in London to obtain a baggage certificate, listing the above on the packing list? Do I need to have obtained my residence certificate from the Junta de Freguesia first? Obtain my crew from the Câmara Municipal first. When does the date of the 12 months to bring my items in start? Is it the registration of my NIF to my new fiscal address or the date of receiving my baggage certificate? Gilda, do you want to take this?
Yes. So, Derek, you already have the rental agreement. Once your rental agreement starts, you can go to the city hall and take care of the crew. Once you have the crew, you don't need the Estado da Junta. Once you have the crew, you can change your tax residency to Portugal. And that is the moment where the 12 months are going to start counting from the day that you change your tax residency to Portugal. After you change your tax residency to Portugal, you go to the consulate and ask for the luggage certificate.
Okay, there you go. Excellent answer. Thank you, Gilda. Anything else you want to add to that? I think that probably will do it for Derek there. Is that everything, Gilda, on that particular note?
No, you can, if you are in Portugal, you can mail the consulate.
Very good. Okay, excellent stuff. Now,
and try to get everything done online.
Forgive me if I didn't get to your question here as a premium member. Reach out to me if I didn't do that, and we need to cover that first thing next week. If you're on YouTube, it's advisable. Thank you for watching on YouTube. It's advisable to become a premium member so that you can be here and ask the questions yourself. Thank you to the Dream Team. Last question then this evening. Two questions, and I need quick answers because we're running out of time here, but I have to share a screen here. And it's this, which I'm sorry to bring to you this evening, Dream Team. I was very shocked when I saw this. The correct way to eat a pastel de nata. Somebody has taken their spoon to the custard there. That surely is not the right way. Please help me out here, Portuguese people, with that. Rita Afonso, what do you think? That should be against the law, shouldn't it, in Portugal?
It should, but I personally really like to eat the pastel nata like that way.
Okay, that's an upset. All right, Rita, thank you so much for being here tonight. Much appreciated. Love to all the GIR team. And we'll see you soon, I hope, when it comes to a webinar about moving exotic creatures over to Portugal, which is how some people would refer to their relatives. But we're talking about pets here. Peter, is that the right way to eat a pastel de nata, or should it be against the law?
Wow, I would say this is a big offense to eat it like this.
It should be an offense. Thank you very much. And we know how you feel about the 100% tax for non-EU people. Yeah, it's unlikely to happen, I think you said earlier on. Thank you so much for being here. Let's go to Daniel, the legal man who could actually help with bringing some sort of precedent to the culture here. Should that be allowed or not, Daniel?
Well, but there's a problem. Guilty as charged.
Oh no, you as well.
Oh, you stole my line. You stole my line, Daniel.
I do this as well. I would say about 20% of the times that I eat a pastel nata, I do this. Not all the times, but sometimes I do like to vary and do this.
Wow. I had a health and safety warning in my cafe this morning. I saw this and I thought, I'm going to try this. And I've got a video of it exploding in my face. The man in the cafe, the baker, said it's hot. Quente, cuidado. Yeah. And it was still runny. It was, so it was the best way with a spoon. What about you, Gilda? Guilty as charged as well. I'm really shocked by all of your behavior tonight.
You see?
All right.
We're Portuguese and we like to eat the pastel nata like that.
All right.
True, it's true, yeah.
Pedro's, you as well.
Yeah, since I was a young boy, it's the best way to eat the pastel de nata.
Sandra, help me out.
Can I say something?
Please.
Sorry, can I say something?
Of course.
They are so good that we can eat all of them anyway.
Okay,
with a spoon, without the spoon, anyway. Eat
even
them.
in one go, right?
Yeah. Right.
Okay. Sandra, what do you think?
Guilty.
Guilty as well. Unbelievable. What a shocker tonight here on the town hall session. Thanks. Thank you, all of you. It is actually, you heard it here tonight. That is the correct way to eat a pastel de nata. That's what we need to see you doing when you arrive here in Portugal. Over to you, Astrid. Sorry, a minute late. I think Astrid might be eating a pastel. No, there you are. There you are.
No. I just had to find my mute button, my unmute button. Thank you everyone for a great session. We'll see you all next week. We have a tax update on Thursday, so that is in the calendar. So go in and check that out. And then the town hall with the Dream Team is after that. I just wanted to say, anyone who was in the earlier session, if you are coming to our Battaglia meetup, which is happening on the 8th of February, please go in and book your tickets. We will be closing that off on the 27th of January. So it's a weekend of fun. You get to meet me and Carl and Daniel. Daniel's going to be there as well. So there'll be a few of us there. And yeah, come along for a weekend and make new friends.
Fantastic. Just a last word from Jose Cruz. You've really helped the foreigners tonight, I think, Jose included. I now have license to do this, i.e. eat the nata with a spoon, because sometimes it's so hot I'm forced to gulp it down in 2 or 3 slices. Go ahead, everybody. You've been validated, emboldened even, by the Dream Team here on the Town Hall tonight. Take care, everybody. Thank you very much. Bye for now, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.